So today we'll do a lesson um, on array lists. We did one just the other day, or maybe even today. This will be a follow-up lesson, and I've already created an array list, and I'm just going to review the add routine for an array list and the we'll do add, we'll do remove, we'll do add a couple different ways. So I established an array list. Originally I put it here in the main, but then I decided I wanted to call a method print. So this method here, I wrote it as a subroutine, which I put outside of the main, so I declared the array list outside the main, but in the class so that I'd be able to access it. Let's get rid of let's just do this. Let's do this, see what happens if we do this. I think we're going to be good. Okay, so I have the array list. It's an array list that holds strings. I'm calling it word list, and I created a new array list that holds strings. This is calling the constructor from the array list class. And then in this list called word list, we're going to add one word, how. So if I compile this, it says cannot find the symbol word list in here, as I didn't mean to use word list here. I meant to use W list, which is my formal parameter that's receiving the parameter word list in my subroutine print list. So let's compile that, and we're good now. So we'll run that, and we'll see that there's one word has been added to the word list. And I left the options so it will not clear after every screen call. So we'll see how this list grows and changes as we go. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to look in here and let's add a couple more words. So how, and then if we add again, it should add in the list after the first one, after how. It'll add now, and then this should add brown. And let's just do one of them at a time. So compile this again, and we'll run this again, and let's see what we have. And there we have how from before, and then how, and I didn't want that to look like that. So let's doctor that up a touch. So best laid plans. So let's in my print list, I want to do at the end of printing the list, I'm going to add a and just a quick review. We'll talk about my print list. I originally had done this up in here, and I moved it to this subroutine, but I wanted to talk about the for each loop. So if there's one member, three member, no members, 100 members in the word list, this for loop, for each loop, it's going to go through a for loop, going through each word, which is a string in the list, starting at the beginning and going through to the end. System.out.print, which is printing the word, and the word is the variable that you declare to be of the type that the array list holds, and then you tell it the list that you want to traverse through and print out all the members of the list. So we've now added, we had how and we had now, and I'm going to go back in here and compile this again. We're good. Let's run this again. And let's clear everything so we can start from the beginning again. Okay. So now when it runs this, it should, there's our how now, because we have now added you look at the code, we've added how and now. Let's add one more. So now we're adding how, now, and brown. I'll compile that again, and we'll run that. And when we run this, you see it's now added brown to the end of the list. So the concept here is that when you add to a list, I added nothing that time, so that was genius. The concept we're looking to get across that when you add to the list, it adds to the end of the list, and every time I've added a new word to the list, I've then printed the list. So let's do that. Let's start that from scratch here, and we'll do this again so I can show you that that's exactly what's happening. So after we add how, I want to print the list. And then after we add now, I want to print the list. And then after we add brown, I want to print the list. And then after we add cow, we'll print the list one more time. Okay. So if I compile this, no syntax errors. And let's run this again. And we should see, these are the first couple we did. These are the first few we did. And let me clear that again. And we'll just look at it one more time. And here you can see it. We added how, and we printed the list. Then we added now to the list. We printed the list. There it is. And we added brown to the list. It prints the list. And you can see that the word's always being added to the end. If we wanted to add a word to the front of the list, so if we want to add a word to the front of the list, let's suppose we want to add the word in position 1, the very front of the list. Well, I'm suspecting we probably need to put position 0 in here if we want to be in the front of the list. But we'll first try it with a 1. So I'm going to add the word hey into position 1, and then print out the list and see what that looks like. So if we compile that again, and then we run this, we've added how, then now, then brown, then cow, and then we added hey in position 1. And position 1 is not the first position in the list. So you can see position 1 places you at the second word in the list. So if we want to put that in the first spot, we're just going to change this to a 0. And let's compile it again. And then you can see when we run this, that adds hey, how now, brown cow. It adds the hey to the front of the list. All right, let's talk a little bit about remove, and then that'll be it for today's lesson on ArrayList. Let's remove, let's try to remove brown. So we have how now, brown cow. So let's take our word list. Well, before we do that, let's just do word list dot remove. And then we'll just call remove and see what that does. And then we'll print the word list again. And we'll compile that. And it says no suitable method found for remove without an argument. So if we remove, you either have to tell it what string you're looking for, or just a position. So let's remove from position, we're trying to remove brown, 0, 1, 2. Let's remove from position 2. Let's see what happens if it likes that. So we'll run it again. And you can see we remove not the hey, not the how, not the brown. We remove now because it's hey, how, now. I forgot about the hey being in the front. So it did remove from here, after we've added hey, it did remove the 1, 2, third word by sending to it, by thinking of it as position 0, 1, 2, and we removed the word in position 0, which was now. Even though we were shooting for brown, I had forgotten that we added in the hey guy, which put us in another spot. That guy we had put in the front. Okay, so suppose we want to write a loop that removes everybody from the list, and we did this, I think we did this with the lesson the other day, and we'll write a loop here that removes everybody from the list until the list is empty. So I'm going to use a while list to remove everyone from the list. And I'll do while not empty is what I want to do. I'm going to continue to remove words from the list while the list is not empty. So it's going to be while not word list dot is empty, I think is the method. And let's do nothing first. Let's just put nothing here. Let's just compile it, make sure it is called is empty. So this is while the list is not empty is what we're saying here. And while the list is not empty, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to do this with a get first, and you'll see that we'll get stuck in an infinite loop, so maybe I won't do that. I'll do this with a remove first. So we're going to do word list dot remove, and we'll remove the guy from the first spot, so that would be position 0. And let's print out who we're removing. So when you call remove, it returns the object that it removes from the list. So I'm going to make a string object called dummy, just to hold the word that we remove, and then I think I want to print that out. So let's just do this. So let's print out dummy. And let's make this a print line. So we're just going to print that on a separate line. And that's the word that we're going to remove. And then after we remove that, let's call print list again so we can see that as this goes, we're removing one word at a time. We'll see them all removed. So let's compile that. And what we're hoping to see is when this while loop runs, it'll run through the end of the list, and it'll run until there's nobody left in the list. And we're going to take one member of the list out from position 0 at a time, print out that member, and then print the whole list so we can see what's happening. So let's close this. We compiled it already, and let's see what this looks like. So let's make this bigger so we can see what happened. So here we added to the list as we went. Then we printed out hey because we removed it, and we have how, brown, cow, left, how. After removing hey, we have how, brown, cow, left. Then we removed how. This is the word we're removing, and now we would have brown, cow, left. Then we removed brown, and now we have cow left. Then we removed cow, and we printed an empty list here, or we didn't print anything at all. So this worked exactly as expected. I just want to talk about one other thing we could have done here. We could have done this a little differently, and let me do that differently right here. So let me copy what we have. Actually, let me do this with a for loop. So for, I'll make it I for our index. As long as I is less than word list dot size, and word list dot size returns how many elements are in the word list. So this will go through the word list. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm not going to remove from the word list. I'm going to use the put all this in here, copy it, put it in here. But I'm not going to use remove. I'm going to change this to wordlist.get. So wordlist.get will get you the member of the list in position 0 or 2 or 7 or whatever you put in here. But I'm going to get the member of the list in position I. So dummy will receive the word list member in position I, because it will get it, it's not going to remove it. So the list will stay the same, which we'll see in a moment. So this will print out the word that we get, and then print out the list. You'll see that the list is unchanged. And then let's put a let's see what we can take this here. Let's put a message here letting us know what's going on. So let's put just a message in here that says for loop. For loop using get. And just to tell us what it's doing here. And this is what we got. So I'm going to just say get equals the dummy. And here I'm going to paste this right before we do the while loop so we can see what's going on here. And here I'll change this to while loop using remove. And I'll change this to remove. So it shows us what remove, make it past tense, removed space dummy. And there we go. And we'll concatenate that with this. So I think this will do what we want. Let's take a look. And I must be missing, I'm missing my concatenation little plus sign there. Okay, so compile this and close that, and we'll, I guess we need to compile this again. I still have a problem here. Lord list. That's my, oh Lord, that is my problem. Word list, compile, equals 0 would be a nice start. Compile that. And I'm running up to close to 20 minutes. I wanted this to be like a 10-minute lesson, but here we go. I'll just run it one more time, and then that's the end of the lesson. We'll talk a little bit about the output. And here we go. So this was the loop using get, and we get hey. Hey is the word we got first, and it prints out the whole hey brown cow. Then we get how, and it still prints out hey brown cow. Then we get the word cow, and it still prints out hey brown cow. Now we're using the remove, and we saw this before, that the removed hey, and then it prints just how brown cow, and then it removed how, and it just prints brown cow, and then remove brown, and it just prints cow. And once we remove cow, there was nothing left to print. So there you have it. That's the lesson on ArrayList, follow-up lesson. You've probably seen enough. I'll just do one more thing with this. You don't need to keep paying attention unless you want to see a little bit more. I just want to change it to look a little nicer. Not what I wanted to do. Let's open this up. So at this point, after I just wanted to say how now brown cow, how now brown cow, and then I'm going to comment out the adding of hay, and I'm not going to remove the second word anymore. We saw that little demo. I just want to print the list, then show how get works, and then I should print the list again, I guess, although we are printing the list every time. So let's compile that. Let's close this. Last piece, last thing I'm going to see. So just be a little easier to follow. So here we have, we added how, then now, then brown, then cow, using the get loop. Using the loop with the get in it, we get how, we get now, we get brown, we get cow as I goes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3. And then we use the while loop that does the removing, so remove how. It removed how, prints out now brown cow. It removes now, prints out brown cow. It removed brown, prints out cow. It removed cow, nothing left to print. That's the lesson. Talk to you next time.